Hello and welcome to the NASCAR Championship Racing Series.
Well, good evening, folks, and welcome back to another production of the Canadian eMotorsports Network. It's Season 4 of the NASCAR Series Round 420, the Miami 200 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And now here we go with our face of course, just making sure, yep, we are all good here. Welcome to the broadcast booth here, of course, once again. Here I am, Corbin MacAulay here in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, Canada. Over on the other side of the country, we got the longtime man in the booth, color commentator Jordy Carraher in Alberta. Jordy, last week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, third time's the charm for Corbin MacAulay in his fourth year racing, of course, was able to get the job done, persevering through strategies and an unbelievable four-wide maneuver that we saw off a restart. So, well, take us through your overall thoughts on how Las Vegas went through and MacAulay, of course, getting the job done, how he's going to keep moving forward with that momentum. Indeed so, indeed so. We will now take a look here at the schedule. Of course, we are at round 4, only a couple ways away from ending off the regular season, of course. There it is, Homestead-Miami, the fourth race right there. Now taking a look at last week's results, of course, Corbin MacAulay getting the job done with that first place finish right there. And then Matthew Patak coming home with a solid second place finish right there. Scott Bailey rounding out the podium, of course. And then Dylan Baum and Andy Hurl wrapping up the top 5 right there. So, Jordy, anyone in those top 10 results not surprised by, you are surprised by? Okay, then folks are going to try this one more time here. We're going to get right back to our face and just redo this one because apparently we couldn't hear Jordy that time around. So, Jordy, very quickly go back to what you were originally saying there relating to MacAulay getting the job done at Las Vegas and the momentum moving forward and just how Las Vegas went.
Yeah, just ultimately kind of found his way through the start and stop nature of kind of the second half of the race, was able to, mostly navigate some of the things that happened over the course of, again, that second half. And after a couple of close calls, finishing second in rounds 1 and 2, as you say, ultimately got the job done in round 3 and finds himself in a playoff spot at this point.
All right, then that's much better. And yeah, there's the schedule right there. Once again, Homestead-Miami Speedway, last week's results. Of course, MacAulay getting the job done. Then Paytech, Bailey, Baum, and Andy Hurdle wrapping up the top 5 right there. And Jordy, take us right back through what I originally had asked you there, of course. Any surprises, any drivers not so surprised about for the top 10?
As I mentioned before, I don't really think there's a whole lot in terms of surprises, just given the overall parity of the field. Everything kind of feels believable.
MacAulay getting the job done then
so far. And, I look at Matthew Paytak, for example. He's had an incredible rebound to the start of this season. 3rd at Auto Club, I believe. 2nd last week in Vegas. And, I wouldn't be surprised to hear you doing an interview with him post-race before the end of the regular season here. And then, of course, you've got last year's top 2 championship contenders in Ty Higginbotham and Jonathan Peden kind of lurking there in 6th and 8th. And, of course, we're at the track where Season 3's championship was decided last year in favor of Ty Higginbotham. So we'll see if that brings the 97 any good mojo. But, ultimately, it feels like literally it could be just about anybody's race on any given week.
All right, then I was muted there for a second. And now going to the driver's standings here. MacAulay leading the way, and then Belmonte, Ireland, and Paytech tied there in a 3-way tie for 2nd place right there. I was talking originally there whenever I was muted that outside the top 10, of course, Belmonte and Ireland. Ireland only finished 12th. Belmonte finished 14th. So interesting to see there from guys who got successful finishes at Daytona and Auto Club. And then Matthew Paytek right there, his 2nd place finish last week was able to get him up in the standings right there. And there's Scott Bailey right behind the tie in 5th place right there. Any thoughts you got, Jordy, on the rest of the standings as we speak?
Where was our cutoff there? Top 5 is what you said?
Yes.
Okay, so obviously, you again look a little bit further down the board. You see, again, our reigning Ross Cup champion Ty Higginbotham there in 9th, John Peden 13th, Mark Cox still hanging in there in 14th right now. He's had a few solid races, even led a few laps last week in stage 3. Ultimately, just couldn't quite put it together. Right now, though, it's still very early, but the guys who are outside, or at least just kind of on the cusp of that, you see the first 2 names on that list, Ryan Gibson and Darcy Ford. I was about to put them together, but seeing those 2 outside right now, again, obviously still 10 rounds of regular season racing to go, so lots of time to be able to make that up, but it's a little bit jarring to see that. And again, it speaks to, I think, the overall parity and competition over the course of Season 4, particularly as a lot of guys continue their transition into the iRacing platform.
For sure. Very good there, Jordy. Very good points right there, of course. And what was that I in mind there. I'll get back to it whenever I can think. Okay, yeah, there's still 9 races remaining in the regular season. You're mentioning right there, there's still plenty of time for things to shake up, of course. And then now as we take a look at the rookie point standings here, Belmonte and Ireland are now in a tie. Belmonte had won those first 2 races, but again, Ireland's been doing a pretty good job of staying consistent, getting solid finishes. And then eventually there, Las Vegas last week, he did come up 2 positions ahead of Belmonte, so now they're close there with each other. Dylan Baum and Kyle Noel falling a little bit back right there to 106 and 103 points respectively right there. So it's a pretty good battle between Belmonte and Ireland. But again, it's still early on the regular season. I don't think it's necessary to say Baum and Noel, they shouldn't be counted out just yet.
By no means. No, absolutely. As I say, 9 regular season races after tonight in that particular case. So, yeah, lots of time for them to be able to do damage. We've seen both of them toward the head of the field at numerous points over the course of this season. And, yeah, don't be surprised to see them very much in the thick of things moving forward.
Indeed so. And because of the technical difficulties we were going through and some of the and the time constraints we're kind of dealing with right now, we will be skipping the national anthem so that we can try and keep on time with everything else. Obviously, last week, too, trying to go through the starting lineup went a little bit slower than expected, and we were right there on the brink of green trying to get into the final 2 rows, I believe. So we'll just kind of focus on other things as we go right now. Let's take a look at the weather info for today's race at Homestead-Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida. Partly cloudy day here, air temperature 27 degrees Celsius. One thing to point out, though, that track temperature is 54 degrees. It is a hot track here today at Homestead-Miami, which means it's a loose racetrack for these drivers, Jordy.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't expect the tires to be too happy. I think the heat of that track is going to be ripping through those tires the way the Florida Panthers are currently ripping through the soul of my Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's going down in Miami, or Sunrise, I guess, tomorrow, game 4. But yeah, it could very well be that level of ugliness at points, particularly toward the end of some tire stints.
Indeed so. Slick and loose is what it's all about whenever it comes to hot track temperatures. And as the tires on each car begin to wear down, those cars will get looser and looser. Originally, it was actually the separate back at Las Vegas where you'd actually get tight as the tires wear off. But this time around, it's a completely different story because Las Vegas was cold. So there's your weather info, of course. Again, humidity 1%, 16 kilometer per hour wind speed or 15. It literally just switches back and forth between a certain range of numbers there. Northeastern wind direction. And I'm really noticing the scenery too here. These custom cameras, of course, from TrackCams22.com. We'll be showing them out later in the race, obviously. It's pretty good scenery here in Homestead, Miami. And looking at the qualifying here as it's about to come to an end right here, it appears as though, once again on the pole, are you surprised one bit, Jordy? Corbin MacAulay.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a pattern that's developed, and I mean, he's, it might be a little bit more of a surprise. I know you have a little bit more inside info than I do in this particular case, but there's been mention of him perhaps being a little bit under the weather, but still putting in a rather, for lack of a better term, sick lap time.
Indeed so. And then I remember last time I actually pretty much almost went through the entire starting lineup without realizing you're actually supposed to go and do that later on. So we'll just quickly do the top 3. It's MacAulay, Jared Ireland, C.D. Mangrum there in the top 3. We'll get to the rest of the way eventually, as these cars will be on the pit lane here, I believe. Indeed they are. So as these cars load onto the pit lane, I will eventually call into them, have some remarks, and then tell them to start those engines, and we'll unmute the iRacing track, of course, and we'll let you all hear these engines get fired up. So we'll give it some time here. We'll leave the camera on the cars, of course, and when those engines fire up, that's when the cue is to get racing. All right, then the engines were fired up right there. Let's take a look at our starting lineup for the Miami 200 here tonight. We will begin here on the front row. Corbin MacAulay in first place there in his number 17 Chevrolet, with Jared Ireland in second place in his number 13 Chevrolet. On the second row, of course, here we got C.D. Magrum, the number 1 car in third place, with Darcy Ford there in fourth place in his number 64 Chevrolet.
And moving on to row 3 here, we've got Matthew Paytak rounding out the top 5. He's got, in his number 21 Chevy, I should point out. And then we get to our first Toyota in the form of the defending Earl Ross Cup champion, Ty Higginbotham. His number 97 will start in 6th. As we move on to row 4, we've got the number 88 of Scott Bailey. His Chevy's in there in 7th, and he's got a rather familiar working partner there in the form of the number 36 Chevy of Michael Wolford there for company on the outside of row 4, Reegs.
Thank you very much there, Jordy. Now here in 9th place, Justin Belmonte is number 6 Ford with 2 wins here in these last 3 races, and then Kyle Nolan, his number 15 Toyota, so a rookie row right there to complete the top 10. And then moving on, we got Andy Hurdle here in 11th place to the inside of Mike Marini in his number 12 Toyota.
Moving on to row 7 here, we've got Jason Butler in the number 10 Chevy starting in 13th. And Season 1 Earl Ross Cup champion Ryan Gibson in the number 23 Chevy. He's looking to find a little bit better than the West Virginia country roads here as he starts 14th. Moving on to row 8, we've got Jonathan Warr starting in 15th in his number 29 Ford. And he's got another Ford for company there in 16th in the form of the number 41 of Jose Mercado, who's looking to make the headline. Florida man charges through field to pick up the win, Reegs.
Indeed so. And then right here, 17th place, the 33 of Jonathan Peden, and the 77 of Hunter Young in 18th. Starting last, the rookie, number 3 here, Dylan Baum in 19th place. And so that'll do it right here for the starting grid, as the pace car will roll off here. And we're going to get underway here at Homestead-Miami Speedway with the Miami 200. Round 420 is underway.
Looks pretty clean off the line here so far, Reegs. Although maybe something a little high, kind of middle of the field. But either way, the 17's looking like he's gotten away strong.
Indeed so. I had to make a bit of a ticker change right there very quickly, but MacAulay leading the way right there, and you can see right there on the high line, taking the Larson line, a little bit of a tap to the wall right there was Matthew Paytek in his number 21 car, but he's able to keep it going. Might lose a couple of spots right there, but MacAulay's going to lead the first lap of this 134-lap race. It's pretty much just like last week at Las Vegas. It's 40 laps, and then 54 to wrap up this Miami 200.
Yeah, that's a few straight mile-and-a-half tracks here.
Bit of a loose moment there, and there's trouble for Scott Bailey. No, they saved it. They're somehow still going.
Yeah, definitely some avoiding action that had to be taken, but it looks like everyone still has their cars pointed in the right direction here so far, as we're only a couple laps in. Things are already getting tight out there.
Indeed they are. And going back right here, MacAulay just kind of jumping out right here with quite the distance, almost a second over C.D. Magrum there in second place, who has moved up there from third. Jared Ireland, who had originally qualified second, now back here in fourth place. Got the rookie there, Kyle Noll, right behind him in his number 15 Toyota. Seeing a lot of cars trying to take advantage of the multiple grooves here at this track. Again, it's a pretty abrasive tire surface that there is here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Again, if you really if you want to use that inside line, then that'll definitely risk you with the tire wear. A lot of drivers try to prefer using the high line and trying to be a little bit easier on their tires that way.
Why wouldn't you use the high line in round 4 of 20?
Yeah, exactly. Why not? See some maneuvering back here. Jose Mercado right there on the high line, 16th place. Mike Marina there on the inside. Mercado was not at Las Vegas last week, so he's returning here at Homestead, trying to take advantage and get a good finish here to get back up in the standings. He's currently below the playoff line. And again, MacAulay's still at that fair distance there down this back straightaway. It's now down to about just over half a second here over C.D. Magrum. Just trying to get through all the movements I'm seeing here on my timing screen just so I make sure I don't miss anything, because that has been kind of a pattern in recent races.
And while you do that, the other thing I'll pick up on here, great starts from Kyle Knoll and Justin Belmonte there, both starting on row 5. And Knoll's moved up into 5th from 10th, while Belmonte's moved up from 9th to 6th. So good starts off the line from both of those two first years in the series.
Indeed so, indeed so. Belmonte there on the inside trying to stay ahead. Darcy Ford, Dylan Momstrill trying to use that high line. So is Jared Ireland right there in 5th place. Kyle Knoll passing him for 4th place right there. Ireland might try to figure some maneuver out. Nope, not going to. He's going to stay behind Knoll right there, try to maybe use that high to middle groove right there. Knoll staying in front. Belmonte and Ford are going to battle side by side coming off the corner. Looked like Belmonte had a bit of a wiggle right there coming off of turn 2. Still able to keep the advantage going right there. Ford diving down low hard on the inside line. That might give Dylan Baum an advantage here to try and catch up and even battle here to maybe get up into 6th place if possible. And he's getting right there, right behind Belmonte. That high line is really giving him the advantage. That's the other thing, too, at the high line. It gives you pretty good exits here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, especially if you're easy on the tire wear before all the pit windows come around eventually.
Yeah, exit speeds are one thing, but if you're defending the way Darcy Ford's capable of, there you're seeing a little bit of an example here as Ireland tries to go high again. It looks like he'll succeed this time, but before that, Darcy Ford was doing a good job of just kind of shaving off whatever room was there for Ireland in particular to try and get by him.
Indeed, so Baum gave quite the bump there right behind Darcy Ford coming into turn 1, but now Baum's going to take that high line, take advantage of it, and he's going to get past Darcy Ford into 7th place, moving his way up on that high line. Ford still trying to use that inside line that he's been using all race here so far, heading into lap 9. MacAulay's still leading the way, or no, that would be lap 10 now, I believe. Yes, it is. But 9 laps into this one, MacAulay's still leading the way. Magrum 2nd. Matthew Patek there in 3rd. Again, Noel with a good start right there, moving his way up into 4th. Ford's still trying to battle there on that inside, but he's going to eventually end up falling back in that number 64 Wing Snob Chevrolet. And some movements back here, too, towards the back of the pack. Ryan Gibson, his number 23 MBR Motorsports Camaro, trying to battle side by side with Jonathan Moore, who slides up just a little bit in that middle groove in his number 29 Ford. And he's going to drop back just... He's going to fall back just a little bit right there, heading down this front straightaway.
And that's the thing about Gibby, regardless of which series he's driving in, he does not need much room in order to execute a move. And obviously a little bit of a wiggle from Jonathan Moore there that gave the 23 a little bit of a daylight. And with that, claimed the position and a little bit of an advantage on track as well.
Indeed, and Mercado, I believe, had a bit of a moment there coming off of turn 2 as well. Almost lost the back end. He's able to keep that 41 car going. And another moment right there, too, I believe, coming off of turn 4 as well. Been a pretty loose start for him so far. And looking through this field of cars, there's only 19 showing up here tonight. Of course, one driver that unfortunately not showing up, of course, the series founder, Daniel Cudmore, who is under the weather. I finally was able to fix that mistake I remember making back in Formula 1. Right.
Correct.
I don't know how that one happened, but looking back here behind Mercado, Michael Wolford, number 36 car. On the inside, Jonathan Peden trying to take advantage there on the high side.
Yeah,
Looks like
you want to talk about that, though. I wonder if the F1 Miami race was a bit of a mistake there a couple days ago. We're in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Whoa, Belmonte taking a slide there. He's going to go around, too. Into the inside wall. I believe he may have hit it. Or maybe he didn't. I'm going to take a quick look back right there. Wow, he did save that one, actually. Just coming through off of turn 4 right there. Just got loose, not wanting to get up into Ireland. Then he goes down right along that inside wall, and he saves that back end. That's going to cost him a couple spots here as he drops back to 8th place. Kyle
Fast
Noll.
10 coming to a theater near you May 19th.
Yup. But now Kyle Noll trying to fight here for 3rd place. He's really making his way up. And there's contact with Matthew Patak. He saves that one, Noll. Getting a little aggressive right there. Would you call that a broadcaster jinxers? Would you call that one a jinx?
There was definitely a bump there. It's kind of hard to ignore that one. It might be worth a little bit of a look later on, but it was pretty clear cut from what I saw here. And yeah, Noll benefits from that. Patak ultimately loses a few positions out of that as he drops to 6th, but he's also a guy who's not afraid of kind of fighting through the field himself. So don't be surprised if he finds his way back up there eventually.
Got some side-by-side battles going on here towards the back of the field. Wolfer getting trying to take the advantage on that high line there over Jonathan Peden there. Hunter Young. Oh, Jose Mercado had another loose moment again. How many times has that been so far? He still sits here in 14th, lowest position of 18th. He's still been able to keep his car straight somehow. Although I do wonder if that front end might be... Are my eyes playing with me, or is that something I'm seeing?
Yeah, keeping it straight is one thing, but if you're getting sideways to a point there, as I think he might have taken a brief wall ride there, intentional or not, just trying to find somewhere on the track to be able to find just a little bit more grip, a little bit more speed. Not always easy to do when you got someone like Scott Bailey breathing down your neck, or is that Michael Wolford first? I think it might have been Wolford.
Yeah, that's Wolford, yeah.
But, yeah, it looks like Bailey's down in 19th, so my bad on that. But either way, whenever you've got another driver just coming up from the back and, you know, you don't know if you have the car underneath you necessarily to kind of keep things on the rails, so to speak, it makes it a little bit more of a challenging endeavor, to say the very least.
For sure. And now, yeah, Hunter Young trying to take advantage on Jonathan Peden. But let's get back to the front and see if anything's going on here. MacAulay, just that the margins between him and Magrin just keep going back and forth. It'll either be half a second, it might be just barely under a second. But Magrum is still trying to keep up here. Last year's Rookie of the Year, of course. And there's some movements going on back here. Darcy Ford had something going on right there, Belmonte. Kyle Noll now trying to dive to the inside of Jared Ireland here through turns 3 and 4. And it's going to work right here, although he might slide up just a little bit. That's... Or is he going to be clear of him? Yeah, he'll be clear of him. Kyle Noll jumping up into 3rd place right there. Ireland back to 4th.
That just continues Noel's impressive run up the field here in kind of the opening 20-ish laps of this race here tonight. Again, started in 10th as we got someone in pit lane here. It looks like Andy Hurdle.
Let's see what he's going to do here, if he'll be pitting for tires and maybe just feel okay. He's got the right sides going on right there. Will he be going for the left? Indeed he will. It looks like should be all 4 tires right there and fuel, and he'll make his way as a bunch of other cars are now going to start coming down the pit lane. There's Jared Ireland. Higginbottom coming in as well. Jason Butler. We'll have to see what some of these cars do here.
This is kind of a midway point of the stage here, lap 21 of 40. In fact, just kind of getting on to the second half of said stage here. We'll learn a little bit about who's able to kind of control the tire wear here a little bit, particularly on such a hot track here tonight in the form of Homestead-Miami. Again, you've got a few drivers just kind of splitting it in half. We'll see if a few opt for track position over the next couple laps, or whether this is just going to be the start of a procession here over the next lap or two to kind of cut any advantage off.
Noticing here, Jared Ireland I believe may have been taking all 4 tires, but he's still in his pit stall. I wonder what might be going on there.
Yeah, I don't think we noticed anything in the form of damage before, because he was running up toward the head of the field most of the way here so far. Of course, qualified second.
Now there he goes.
ultimately, like, we did note that, he was kind of sliding down the field a little bit. So I wonder if maybe there was, additional adjustments within the confines of the rules, of course, being made to try and make that number 13 a little bit more efficient.
Who knows? Who knows? And there's Matthew Patak and his number 21 Chevy. Gonna come out of his pit stall right there, and I believe that's Kyle Knoll coming down the pit lane now. He's been having a pretty good start to this race here so far through what will be eventually 24 laps here. He's making his way up a highest position, a third right there if I quickly go to the driver info tab. Yes. Highest position a third, lowest of 10th. Hasn't been outside the top 10 besides just now with the pit window, of course. But again, though, he wants to make his way back up in the Rookie of the Year standings. Of course, looking back at the driver standings here, too. Yeah, Kyle Knoll is sitting right there in 8th place behind the two tie drivers of Dylan Baum and Andy Hurdle for 6th place. So he'll definitely want to make his way up currently as out of all the 4 rookies, he is last in the Rookie of the Year standings. So this race might help give him back some momentum with the start, at least if he's able to continue it.
A lot of work to be done, but a lot of time to do it. So not really overly concerned about the 15 so far. Particularly, we've seen the performance evident here tonight through the opening, as you say, 25, now 26 laps.
Indeed so, indeed so. And there's another car coming down the pit lane there, too. I'm trying to catch it. It's Justin Belmonte and his number 6 car, of course, has 2 wins this season. Although that second one came in rather controversy, of course, with some penalties that were laid out after the race, which dropped him from first place in the standings. And it's kind of continued to kind of hamper down on him as that Las Vegas only finished 14th. Last week, although he did show some speed there up in at the back end of the top 10, but just besides, if I look back at the last race results, I mean, he did get 9th in stage 1, 2nd in stage 2, but then just kind of fell back as the chaos of stage 3 ensued. So kind of a bit of a fall off versus those 2 victories that he got.
Yeah, if I recall, I think he may have been caught up in some of that aforementioned chaos. So yeah, not entirely his doing, obviously. When things like that happen, you're kind of a passenger at some points as Corbin MacAulay heads into pit lane. Mike
Marini in there as well. MacAulay's led every lap here so far in this one. So he'll make his way into his pit box, and we'll see. Can only imagine it'll probably just be the usual 4 tires and fuel. So we'll be eventually
really just a splash now.
Pretty much, yes. Again, 40-40, 54 for the stage break, so we'll be very shortly getting to 10 laps remaining in the stage. We'll see if MacAulay be able to come back out here in a fair position. But CD Magram now holding the lead over Dylan Baum.
Yeah, Florida-Georgia line might have broken up, but right now it's a guy from Georgia leading a race in Florida.
Yeah, go figure there.
Still lots of time, though, yet. And I also don't think he's come into pit yet. So we'll see how long Magram is planning to stay out here. He's got a couple seconds gap there on Dylan Baum, who I believe also may not have come in. I'm not 100% sure on that. You'd have more data on that than I would.
I believe he has not just yet, neither him or Magram. We'll have to see here as this stage obviously dwindles down. But 8 cars now left here on the lead lap through this pit window with Kyle Knoll, the last one, on the lead lap in 8th place. CD Magram trying to see if I look back at his past race results here through the first 3 races of the season. Finished 11th at Daytona, 13th at Auto Club, 7th at Las Vegas. Again, coming out of that rookie year, I wouldn't want to necessarily try to call this a sophomore slump per se, especially now that we transitioned over to iRacing in comparison to NASCAR Heat 5. So, again, it's still early in the season. I wouldn't call it anything just yet. But again, if Magram continues to continues this pace he's had here at the start of this race, he will eventually now come down to pit road and make his green flag pit stop. still plenty of time for things to come around for the sophomore.
And it looks like Baum had just come in the lap before there as well. So
coming
guys
off right there.
Definitely trying to stretch out the tires as best they can. Obviously not the easiest task given the track conditions, but guys definitely doing the job, and we'll see, if the longer stint is able to kind of serve them well in the final 8-9 laps of this particular stint.
For sure. Now Jose Mercado is going to be leading the way of this race right here on that high line, lap 32 out of 134, also lap 32 out of 40 for this first stage of the Miami 200. Magram's going to come out right there, right behind MacAulay. So I would assume Mercado, Young, and Bailey have not pitted yet.
At minimum, I would imagine that to be the case.
Which makes me wonder if Kyle Knoll may have just... Did he pit too, or did he figure out a strategy here? My memory is absolutely not perfect.
Yeah, he did come into pit lane, if I recall.
Yeah, my memory's not serving me very well here. We'll eventually just have to find out, of course, as the stage dwindles down again. We don't, even if we do catch stuff, it doesn't mean we'll, sometimes our memory fades on us. Sometimes we miss things. I mean, hey, it's a lot better than what we had, of course, in NASCAR Heat 5 for the past 3 seasons. But now we're seeing here after Jose Mercado now coming off the pit lane. Scott Bailey is going to be the leader coming through turns 3 and 4. I can only imagine he'll eventually be making his pit stop unless he's thinking otherwise.
We'll see. That's been, I know I've mentioned it over the course of the last couple of weeks, one of his kind of hallmarks in terms of attaining success here has been tire management. Now, the NASCAR Heat Series obviously a little bit more robotic and predictable, shall we say, compared to iRacing, but ultimately he was able to formulate plans where he was able to manage a little bit longer, and ultimately that got him the track position at the end of the day. But yeah, we'll see what the Michigan man has got in the tank here over the final few laps of this stage.
And I'm just noticing here too, Hunter Young was actually just coming off a pit road, but now he's coming right back in. I wonder if he may have just gotten a speeding penalty.
That could well be the case here. We'll see if there's any activity as he pulls into the stall.
Doesn't look like it. I can only imagine it's definitely a penalty. That would be such a shame too for the underdog who through this season so far, he has not finished outside the top 10 just yet this season, with 9th at Daytona, 7th at Auto Club, and 10th at Las Vegas. So he's definitely trying to get some resurgence after maybe being a little bit more of a mid-pack driver back on NASCAR Heat 5 last year.
Yeah, and if I recall correctly, this is also the first season where he's been with the NASCAR Series from the beginning. Seasons 2 and 3, I believe he came in as kind of a mid-season addition. But yeah, this time kind of in from the beginning. But ultimately, whatever penalties incurred there has kind of dropped him, it's dropped him down to dead last.
Indeed so. And right here, Kyle Knoll getting in the wall right there as he's leading the way, trying to carry on that momentum that he's had through this first stage. There's Hunter Young in the 77 coming off the pit lane now, but you're seeing here, we might get a battle for this first stage victory as MacAulay is approaching Kyle Knoll very fast. Knoll using the low to middle groove right there, while MacAulay trying to be more of a Kyle Larson there on the high side. Looks like he had a loose moment there into the wall as well.
Look at the board. It's
still Knoll got loose off the corner as well. MacAulay going to take advantage with a good exit off that high line. And he's going to take the lead here in stage 1 with 2 laps remaining in the first stage.
You say that. Scott Bailey's still out
actually,
there.
no. Yeah, that'd be actually for second place. That's on me right there. Actually, Scott Bailey might be onto something different here as he's actually leading the way in this first stage. I'm quite surprised I didn't catch that. My vision saw MacAulay second through everyone else, but didn't see that 88 in first place. It was practically blind to me right there, but the white flag is out for stage 1 here on lap 40, and the 88 is Scott Bailey in the lead.
And he's got it by 2.6 seconds right now. We'll see if the 17 can close it down here. It doesn't look like that'll be the case. I don't think he'll have quite enough runway to be able to do it over the course of a couple of turns now, although that gap is evaporating really quickly here.
It is, but
might get a photo finish. Or not.
Nope, not at all. To the green checkered flag here for stage 1 of the Miami 200 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. The 88 of Scott Bailey, 2 weeks in a row, is going to get the first stage victory. He also did it last week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He didn't get any stage points in stage 2, but then he would come up finishing 3rd place, qualified 6th, so not too shabby there, 2 weeks in a row, scoring the first stage victory as the caution comes out. And I may have heard a reaction there from MacAulay. He may have been going, whew. So yeah, again, that does it for this first stage. Of course, Scott Bailey getting the win. MacAulay will get 2nd place. Kyle Knoll with a solid 3rd place finish right there. Again, making his way up after, where was it again he qualified?
10th.
Yeah, it was 10th indeed. Yeah, 10th to 3rd. Not bad at all. I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see him even fight for the lead eventually as this race goes on, although he has definitely shown his aggressiveness after a contact there with Matthew Patak earlier. And speaking of Patak right there, he's in 4th place there in his number 21 car. Justin Belmonte there in 5th place. Of course, had that moment on the front straightaway, as you saw, but halfway through the stage, I believe it was, and he was able to save that car from hitting the inside wall. Very lucky of him. You got 6th place right here in Dylan Baum in his number 3 car. Highest position is 2nd, lowest to 19th. CD Magram, who he was in pretty much 2nd place throughout most of that first stage, but now he's back here in 7th, so that's where he'll finish off. He'll still get some solid points, but I'm sure in his mind he thinks he can definitely do a little bit better. There's Darcy Ford in 8th place, Andy Hurdle 9th, and the defending series champion Ty Higginbottom wrapping up the top 10 in this first stage.
Yeah, I think the big story there so far, Riggs, though, again, Bailey getting through that first stage without the pit stop. Ultimately, that got him the track position. At one point, he was plumb last. But again, as everyone else came in, he stayed out. Law of averages. It worked out rather well for the 88, as you mentioned, a stage 1 victory for the 2nd consecutive week. And, you know, that additional playoff point could very well pay dividends later on down the road. Still a couple months away from having that have any real influence, but I think it's safe to say the 88's back.
Indeed so, indeed so. Doesn't surprise me one bit either, as he's still remaining in his pit box right now in the pit lane. He'll eventually come out of there. But looking...
Probably to get a little bit of everything after, again, going without a stop.
Yeah, pretty much trying to get all the above right there, and now there will be a couple more cars coming down the pit lane here. Of course, that's Hunter Young and Jared Ireland, cars that are laps down, actually. Only 14 cars on the lead lap. Wolford 1 lap down, Ireland also at 1, so is Ryan Gibson. And then Jonathan Pedon's 2 laps down, Hunter Young at 3. So some cars not coming down, some cars are.
Yeah, notably Dylan Baum opting to stay out, so he'll take the restart as the race leader.
Scott Bailey coming down the pit lane again, too.
I wonder if maybe he's incurred the wrath of the speeding gods.
We'll have to see here what action occurs, if any does happen. And by the looks of it, no. So you may be right. Unless he was just topping off for fuel or damage, or maybe actually came out a lot quicker than expected. Unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, it didn't seem like the standard stop in terms of, you know, any kind of disciplinary action or anything like that. Might be worth a check-in on the iRacing voice channel as we try and get the field sorted back out ahead of the beginning of stage 2. Looks like you got another lap to figure that one out.
Alrighty, then we are back as the cars are rolling down this back straightaway here to eventually begin the second stage here of the Miami 200 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Round 420, of course. Dylan Baum and Corbin MacAulay side by side there on the front row. Kyle Nolan, Matthew Patek will get that second one. And then to wrap up the top 5 there, Justin Belmonte with CD Magram to his high side in 6th place. And the pace car is going to roll off for lap 46 at 134. Green flag is out for the second stage of the Miami 200.
And it's looking, I was about to say it's looking clean again, and it looks like, again, it has gotten through turns 1 and 2 here, just as you get yourself back aligned there once again. Riggs, looks like Baum's gotten off to a decent start, but unable to shake off the 17 of Corbin MacAulay. Baum goes high, MacAulay stays low. We'll see if the move sticks here coming out of turn 4.
Indeed so, and I believe a car may have gotten into the wall there. I believe that was Andy Hurdle there on the high side. A little bit of close contact going on. MacAulay and Baum still here fighting pretty close here off of turn 2. Baum using the high line, MacAulay trying to use the low line. Just trying to make sure we're not losing anything here. Some of the cameras seem to be a little bit close for comfort with some of these cars. Patek using that high line. But again, MacAulay and Baum still battling side by side here. Baum taking advantage with the high line exits, of course. Andy Hurdle and Scott Bailey here battling side by side for 8th place. Coming through turns 1 and 2. Hurdle coming right behind there on Matthew Patek.
Yeah, it seems like Baum's running.
Oh, and the caution's out.
Oh, yep, I will stop.
Caution is out. Jose Mercado might have been caught up in something. Michael Wolford's going slow down the back straightaway. So we'll have to see here what may have happened these past 20 seconds. Oh, yeah, there he goes, right around. Okay, we're going to have to get a little bit more than that from the chopper. Yeah, Mercado just comes down and contact Wolford into the outside wall. And almost made contact there, I believe, with, I couldn't tell who that exactly was, but we're going to have to go back one more time here just to see what happened.
From the overhead, it looks like it's Jonathan Peden who survives that one, with Jared Ireland very much in the mix there, too.
Oh, it was Mike Marini, actually, that had a close call with Wolford right there. So we'll get a perspective here of his view as he comes off of turn 2. Yeah, just the spin happens there. He goes full speed trying to get past, and whoo! And I'll try to get a view here from Wolford from behind first, and then we'll eventually get to the side there. Mercado, as you see right here. Boom! Close calls.
Yikers Island.
Indeed so, and we'll try to get maybe one more angle that we can get right here. Trying to test out all these cameras. But yeah, I would probably just say Mercado came down right there on Wolford, and that sent him around. So I believe that will be the final verdict under this caution period here. The second one of the night, but the first one for an incident.
And we did mention earlier, it seemed like the 41 was having a little bit of trouble keeping the car going, in a straight line, so to speak. So I wonder if maybe it just got loose out of 2. And ultimately, that little wiggle is ultimately what collected Wolford and caused our first incident-related caution of the evening.
For sure. Yeah, you take him back to that point. Mercado has definitely had his loose moments coming off of corner exits, especially through that first stage. But I would personally say I'm really hoping that we don't get a pattern of what happened last week at Las Vegas, because again, the first stage went through just perfectly. It was very competitive, a lot of intense multi-groove racing. Pit strategies were very interesting. And then we got to stage 2 and things just began to unravel. A little bit different. I mean, again, like Daytona did have its incidents, but then the third stage went on without a hitch, which was quite surprising. And then race 2 at Auto Club, stages 1 and 2, pretty solid. Stage 3, on the other hand, a little bit of chaos. And then Las Vegas, stage 1 was fine. The rest of the way was just unraveling of mayhem. And this time around, I would definitely want to hope that we don't get the same thing around, although I may have just jinxed everything even worse.
And notably, that first time around, previous race leader, I should say, Dylan Baum among the drivers who went into pit lane. So as you see, our pole sitter for tonight, Corbin MacAulay, he heads the field once again with Baum down in 10th. He'll have Kyle Knoll, who started 10th. He'll have him for company on the outside whenever the green flag comes back.
Indeed so. So yeah, we were there at 30 laps to go in the stage, but now we'll be at 29 here on lap 52 at a 134 at Homestead-Miami. And nice and interesting to see there on that weather info. The track temperature has barely gone down from 50, I believe it was 54, now it's at 48. Yep. So it has cooled down just a taddest bit, but I would probably say that that's not much at all. 48 degrees is still pretty darn hot. So it's still going to be a pretty slick and loose track here, especially when the tires wear down, because again, at Las Vegas, it was very tight when tires wore down, and it was tight. But this time around, when those tires wear off, your car gets freaking loose. And again, we've kind of seen that with Jose Mercado, for example, having his little interesting corner exits, and there's also been some drivers trying to use that high line, but may have been trying to be a little bit too hard, overestimating the corner, overestimating their abilities to be like Kyle Larson. So, and again, in real life, of course, Larson seemed to have it, but no, Denny Hamlin decided to be against that at Kansas.
And, well, as we say that, there goes the pace car. Here we go.
Stage 2, back under green, and the Miami 200. Bit of jostling back there towards the middle and the back of the field. MacAulay getting a really good start. And Darcy Ford right there trying to battle for second place here up against Kyle Knoll. Looking back here at Dylan Baum trying to use that high line right there. He's going to get blocked off, I believe, by Jonathan Bohr. Very aggressive right there. Still getting blocked right there even. It's Ty Hingham there to the inside. Look at Jason Butler right there right in front of them in 7th place. He's made his way up right there. Baum still trying to use that high line, and there's some close action right here. Matthew Patek there on that high side. I believe Ireland got blocked off a little bit right there, so he had to fall back. And there's Scott Bailey there on the inside. Jonathan Peaton right behind them. Dylan Baum now trying to use the inside instead, getting under Jason Butler. And looking at the driver info here, Butler's highest position, of course, is this, with the lowest of 19th. He hasn't reached the top 10 just yet up until now. So good to see from him. And looking back at his finishes here this season, 14th, 11th, and 11th so far. No top 10s just yet, but he's come close. So again, third time's the charm with him. We saw MacAulay have that with 2 runner-up finishes in a row and then getting the victory. So maybe Butler with 2 finishes outside the top 10 just barely. Maybe this time around he'll be able to get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it could be the kind of race where, it's kind of does follow the pattern of the last couple, maybe without as much carnage, but just kind of being there when it matters most, essentially, as opposed to just kind of following the line more so, the expectation of what you would have had at Daytona. Kind of got the more traditional, shorter layouts of, Auto Club Vegas, now Homestead-Miami, sort of following similar traits. But yeah, the 10 can keep his nose clean.
Whoa.
10 being in the top 10 wouldn't be too far-fetched there. We saw somebody going wide there, Jonathan Peden.
Yeah, Peden had a bit of a moment right there. I might try to see if we can go back and see if something may have happened with him very quickly. Yep, had the loose moment. Was able to get it back going, though. All good, still going. And I'm seeing here some movements right here. Dylan Baum over on the high side there. Magrum pulls back, and then Jason Butler onto the inside of Andy Hurdle down this back straightaway. Paytech making the block there on War. Butler getting very close to the left side there of the 7 car of Andy Hurdle, who's, Andy Hurdle's another guy, too, who's had some pretty good finishes, especially being one of the guys in this field driving the next gen for the very first time. For whatever reason, I've made a mistake in past races saying I thought he had a road course experience or he was in some league or something, but that is not correct. If you recall those facts, those are not true whatsoever. This is him getting his first runs in and looking back at his previous finishes. 5th, 12th, and 5th, so kind of a bit of an up and down thing going on there. But again, Hurdle's got 2 top 5s right there. He had the pace at Auto Club to have maybe even a top 5 himself, so that could have been 3 in a row. But again, 2 top 5s here in 3 races so far, and right now he is fighting here in 8th place, so another top 10 here wouldn't be too shabby for the guy that has been pretty coveted on the road course side of things in the Canadian eMotorsports Network with Formula 1 and, of course, IndyCar and Project Cars, too.
Yeah, for sure. I had a thought on that, but I was kind of lost. But, now I've got it. It's kind of the quietest, not necessarily unassuming, but
there's 3 wide action here.
Top 5 start to the season. Yeah, take it.
Now you go right back to it. But Belmonte and Noel are just balanced side by side. You go ahead right there. We got to keep the talking going.
I think the point was just about made there anyway in the name of the number 7 of Andy Hurdle. Again, very kind of unassuming start to the year, but again, the results have been there, and he's a guy that, I mentioned it, I think, last week as well. A guy who's more than capable of adapting to new platforms, new cars, new expectations. He's the guy who's capable of handling it. So don't be surprised if he kind of sneaks his way up the field here again.
Indeed so. And right now to his inside right there is going to be Ty Higginbottom, who will slide up and get... No, he won't, actually. He'll try to keep it going there. Paytech, I think, had a bit of a wiggle right there. And now here's Butler and Ireland going out. Ireland's actually a lap down, though, back in 16th, while Butler, on the other hand, is in 11th. So, I don't know. Ireland maybe just trying to keep up the experience of being up front, especially as a rookie. And now we're going to this battle right here. Oh, we're actually getting a battle for the lead now. It's Belmonte and MacAulay from those first 2 races. That's the battle we saw there to begin the season. And they've reunited.
Here we go again.
Yep, here we go again. It's side by side for both first and third. It's MacAulay and Belmonte, veteran versus rookie. And we got the same thing here. It's a 4th-year driver versus a rookie. Now Kyle Noll's going to dive it down low for second place as MacAulay falls back on the high side. He might get a good exit here and get it possibly somewhat of an advantage here on Belmonte. Looks like he will. He'll go to the inside. Try to fight him there. Noll will get back in front of Darcy Ford right here.
NASCAR equivalent of the old switcheroo there pulled by MacAulay, it would appear. Taking that high line out of 4 and then just diving underneath Belmonte through 1 and 2. But it looks like Belmonte's held on for now.
Belmonte making his way up there, of course. It was kind of a similar story back at Auto Club, I believe, if I go back to what went on with him. There you are. Originally, he started 8th at Auto Club and kind of was just at the bottom of the top 10, even kind of outside it, I believe, as well. But then eventually he was able to come around and score the victory. So this might be another situation, a similar situation to that race that we're seeing here with Belmonte. But again, McCauley, it's just the good old Belmonte and McCauley stuff that we saw from the first 2 races. It was a little bit more quiet at Las Vegas, but again, that was 1 race versus 2, and now this might be 3 here. So good stuff to see here from Belmonte.
Yeah, last week might have just been a little bit of an anomaly or a blip on the radar, so to speak. Again, he finds himself in the lead right now. Started 9th, so again, doing a decent job of picking his way through the field, picking his spots, so to speak. And again, finding his way to the top of the board here so far. But, you know, we're just kind of barely at the halfway point. Things can change.
For sure. And we'll be, I believe, coming right here to 15 laps to go in this second stage. We've had 1 incident related caution here so far. We've had 2 of them, 1 incident related, and then, of course, the other one for the stage 1 break. But it's nice to see that we're getting a little bit back to good old clean racing here as Kyle Knoll and Darcy Ford there. Bit of a battle there. Ford trying to dive down low. Knoll making the block right there on the inside. Ford may have some opinions on that one as he slides up towards the middle.
Yeah, Kyle Knoll doing his absolute best to make sure things are not comfortable there for Darcy Ford, although I think it's a guarantee that it's not very comfortable at all to begin with. But Kyle Knoll just doing his job to, you know, maintain the position.
Indeed so. Belmonte, it'll be close to half. It might be close to half a second here, but it's about 0.3 right now between Belmonte, between him and Corbin MacAulay there. And then again, Knoll. Ford still trying to get up towards Knoll there. Scott Bailey back here in 5th place. CD Magrum there in 6th. Still maintaining some decent pace, although in stage 1 he did seem to have almost a winning pace right there. Did kind of keep up with MacAulay by maybe about a second or so. Battling side-by-side action here between Jose Mercado and Jason Butler with the lap car of Hunter Young following behind right there on that high line. He'll get very close right behind Butler. If he had been on the accelerator any longer, he probably would have been right in the back of him, so and that wouldn't have been good for a guy that's 3 laps down, so. And did Mercado
But
really?
it's not to be unexpected from a couple of guys who would frequent the 401, Jason Butler being from London, Ontario, Hunter Young being from St. Catharines.
Yeah. Looks to be just pretty much single file racing all the way through about, yeah, I would say about the top 11 right there. And then, of course, there's now Ryan Gibson getting up here, I guess the lap car of Hunter Young. So I guess technically it would still be single file in that case. But 11 laps to go in this second stage of the Miami 200. It's been kind of a race where just, you know, every now and then we'll get our battles. We had some good stuff there between Belmonte, MacAulay, Ford, and Knoll with the top 4 all pretty much side by side right there. But other than that one little minor incident between Wolford and Mercado, so far things have just been relatively just decent.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I think I kind of just did.
I know, but you get
okay,
the point.
Was there a word that you were thinking I was going to say?
No, but I knew the concept and all that good stuff. So, I think we were thinking the same thing, just didn't want to jinx it.
Well, there is that one word that comes to mind. It has the letter C-L-E-A-N, but I won't say it.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was what I was thinking of, but I definitely refrained from that just in case.
Yeah.
But yeah, 9 laps to go. MacAulay trying to keep kind of a distance there behind the rookie Belmonte. About half a second now. It was about 0.3 there originally. MacAulay may have had a bit of a wiggle there coming off of turn 2. Just the field just kind of remaining the same as per usual through the top 10. And then behind Hurdle probably has nothing to, unless maybe pit stops might be a thing here, unless everyone decided to get it over with during that first stage break. It seems as though probably just 5. And for the 1 millionth time right there, Jose Mercado with another loose moment exiting the corner. It's definitely been a chaotic race for him. He's just outside the top 10. It's just one more position. He could still be good for those points, although he is definitely quite back in the standings right now, especially after missing last week and garnering a post-race penalty at Auto Club.
Yeah, and the other thing to consider there, we did have that earlier incident-related,
and that
caution, so that could have influenced some pit strategies a little bit, but early enough that it may not have affected it too much, just might have extended the life just a little bit.
Indeed so, and Hurdle may have brushed the wall a little bit right there, but it looks as though he's not losing too much speed right there. It's still kind of the same distance, so it might have been maybe just mere inches from the wall. And now MacAulay's actually catching up to Belmonte. We may have something here for this second stage of the Miami 200. Belmonte might be, MacAulay might have something different here tire wear wise. Might have, maybe the inside line might be better here against Belmonte on the high side. I don't think that would make any sense thinking about it, but I thought MacAulay actually may have had him clear from the inside, but that probably would have been a massive block that would have led to unfortunate circumstances.
The leaderboard said he was ahead briefly, and it does now.
Yeah, and it does there too as well. Will he clear him? He will. MacAulay takes the lead in stage 2 here as we're winding down with... That'll be 5 laps to go. Belmonte's still trying to use that high side. I think, Baum and Bailey were close there, but Baum eventually getting right back out. But we'll stay here on the top 2 because this is what matters the most here. MacAulay taking the lead away from Belmonte. That battle continues again from those first 2 races and then quiet Vegas. But this seems like it might just be the permanent storyline for the rest of the season. Again, though, it is still pretty early. 9 races remaining in the regular season after this race. And then, of course, the playoffs come around there too. So,
but take a look at that top 6. There's a combined 30 wins career between those 6 drivers. Of course, 4 of them accounting for all that.
Slide up there. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, Darcy Ford sliding up there with Dylan Baum. Was he originally in a higher position there, or was that where he originally was?
Baum actually benefited from that. Ford drops to 5th as a result.
Yeah, there are
Baum
definitely some...
up. He picked off Scott Bailey on the previous lap as well.
Yeah, because now Noel in 3rd place here. Dylan Baum catching up using the high side. He's going to stay behind. This is definitely not a track for bump drafting, but well, in ways. But Baum now going from the high side to the low side. Oh, there's Andy Hurdle coming down the pit lane.
Yeah, a bit late in the stage for that, you would have to think. But I wonder if maybe the guys who, stayed out, you never want to take a green flag pit stop for sure. But I wonder if he just couldn't hold on.
Either that, it may have been a bit of a strategy mishap, or maybe he's trying to think of something for the 3rd stage. But Kyle Noel kind of blocking off the high side that Dylan Baum's originally been trying to use this entire time. And he'll be holding on to 3rd place right there. But going back to the leaders here once again, MacAulay now about almost a second and a half over Belmonte. So he's definitely been able to take advantage of him. Might be a tire wear thing. MacAulay might have been able to pull it off better than him. But yeah, that is the white flag for the 2nd stage in this Miami 200. There might be something going on here. Yes, side-by-side battle. Darcy Ford still falling back. He's going to fall back to 6th place now as Scott Bailey's number 88 car in that middle groove. Again, he won the 1st stage. Looks like he'll be getting a top 5 this time around. There's trouble for Dylan Baum. He's around. No, he's not. He'll be able to keep that car straight down the back straightaway. Something happened there. Paytech and Higginbottom battling side-by-side there. But again, coming off the final corner for this 2nd stage, Corbin MacAulay continuing to head to success here. 4th week in a row, he'll get the 2nd stage victory here at Homestead-Miami in this Miami 200. Again, 2nd place, 2 races in a row, Daytona Auto Club, and then he got the victory Las Vegas, and now here, he got 2nd place in stage 1, 1st place in stage 2. And again, for a guy who's also under the weather too, he's doing pretty damn impressive.
I mean, the results speak for themselves, no doubt, as, ultimately I think he was able to maybe manage the tires a little bit better. than Justin Belmonte toward the end of the stage, as you mentioned, but obviously the 6 picking up second place there. I missed who was third. Oh, a bit of contact there. That's what sent Bomb.
I mean, those two guys were being pretty aggressive against each other the whole time. I'm actually going to pull back just one more time. So Bomb dove down to the inside, or well, around the middle to inside there, and then he just couldn't really keep the car proper there. It gets loose, and then Noel gets right into the back of him. I don't think maybe he wasn't expecting much. Might be a
bit of a double whammy there, it looks like.
Okay, yeah, they both had loose moments, actually. Yeah, he's on the high side. And then there's Dylan Baum right there coming up. Yeah, he had his own loose moment and then got right into him, so I probably just called that one a racing incident, honestly.
Yeah, it didn't look like there was any intent on either side. Yeah, you see, the hands just going back and forth in the cockpit, and you mentioned that Noel was having a little bit of trouble there as well. And, when you're racing a little bit harder, tires tend to go off the cliff a little bit more of a tendency to get loose despite the track temperature going down. Things like that can happen, particularly at the end of stages when, that rubber is absolutely screaming.
All right, sorry, apologies right there. We had to go into the loop right there because I was trying to figure things out. I was hearing things from the drivers through communications right there because apparently Kyle Noel ran out of fuel there at the end of the stage, and he was able to roll it back to the pit lane on his own. But again, though, I guess some of these drivers, Jordy, have been having a little bit of quote-unquote trauma from what happened at Auto Club. All right, I had him muted the whole time right there. Yeah, Jordy, again, you can't... the communication right there about Kyle Noel's situation there, you can't really blame him because, again, the trauma from Auto Club, right?
Are we still muted?
Oh, no, we're right back into it, man.
All righty. I wasn't sure there, but yes. Yeah, good to know that he was able to kind of make it back into pit lane, running a little lean there at the end. I wonder if maybe that was also a contributor to, the collection of Dylan Baum there right at the end of the stage. Luckily, no harm, no foul, really, as Baum, yeah, he lost a couple of positions, but still finished 6th to pick up, 5 stage points out of it. So, again, it wasn't all lost there. Ultimately, Darcy Ford and Scott Bailey winding up as beneficiaries as they both got into the top 5 for stage number 2 as a result.
And now looking back right here to the pit lane just to see everyone coming off right there in cars, taking tires and fuel, just so that we can catch that, because I know there's been many times where through replays and through communications and stuff, we've actually ended up missing yellow flag pit stops, so it's nice to get that back right there, but we'll just get right back to business as per usual. This third stage about to begin in this Miami 200 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Again, Scott Bailey getting the job done in the first stage, Corbin MacAulay getting the job done in the second stage. This third and final stage of the Miami 200 is underway. Green flag waves.
And yeah, 54 laps in this final stage here. Riggs, of course, 5 of those already contested under caution, so it'll be 48 left at the line. And our pole sitter and stage 2 winner, he's gotten off of the line good. Look, he's already built up that gap. But Scott Bailey making the jump early.
Indeed so, and there's Bailey there on the high side, of course, against Justin Belmonte. Dillamom trying to get in right behind on that high side. And a bit of a loose moment there from Scott Bailey, and so does... Was that Mercado again? Yes, it was. This guy really... Mercado hasn't really been able to figure things out when it comes to corner exits here. It's just, again, it's just been a chaotic race for his steering wheel.
Yeah, well, between Mercado and another guy going
Ireland.
low.
Jared Ireland, the rookie there, getting off the corner pretty loose himself as well. As I was just saying that, I guess the jinx did happen. But he was able to save that one.
Yeah, that's not the guy I was going to reference there. Because, like, again, combined between Mercado and Jonathan Peden, who's had a struggle there tonight in 19, this Homestead-Miami track really has not liked its resident Floridians tonight.
Not at all. I mean, go figure. It's just all about the irony right there. But I guess this would be the hopefully the right time to shout out, of course, our sponsors. I somehow don't have the sheet up to know who the sponsors are. I probably should have memorized that by now, but I'll get that pulled up here very quickly. Of course, again, MacAulay's still leading the way right there. There we go. I'd like to obviously shout out our sponsors here, the Canadian E-Motorsports Network and the NASCAR Series here in Season 4. Holland Hurricanes, Kyle's Fried Chicken, who recently sponsored a race at Auto Club. Thank you very much for that. Rampage Coffee Corporated, Wing Snob, and GTR, the team and the sponsor. But there's also as well, it's why you see these custom cameras for these races here in Season 4. We thank TrackCams 22. Okay, wow. Caution. Crash on the front straightaway.
Look like Jason Butler in there somewhere.
Jared Ireland involved there as well.
And we've just seen him getting loose a lap or two before.
It's just like Auto Club. I wanted to get the Crank It Up done right after Stage 3, but it seems like that's always the worst time. Oh my goodness.
Just get her off the restart.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but other things were going on there, of course. Okay, it was Mercado. Yeah, there was a hit right there. I'll have to get back a little bit more just to see what may have gone on here. But we'll take a look and see what happened. We'll begin with the chopper angle here. Actually, I think the blimp would probably make more sense. Okay, it was back here. Mercado up and hard to the wall with Jason Butler. I can only imagine he...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then Jason Butler here, too, got hit there as well. Yeah, just Mercado came right up the track. I'll have to try and get a bit of a better angle here one more time. But yeah, again, Mercado with those corner exits just hasn't been able to go well. Yeah, he just slides right up the track. And yeah, not clear one bit. And they both go around. Butler then slides down, no brakes, and then gets Ireland right in the back. He slides.
Yeah, it was Ireland. Okay.
And then he goes in the inside wall. And again, we see Ireland here. Yeah, just wasn't expecting that, and then just a bit of a scrape right along that right side. Wolford was able to get through just fine. And then in the inside wall. I'll go back just a little bit here. Again, Butler, you can look from, say, the gearbox right here. Or the roll bar. Actually, no, yeah, the roll bar was definitely the better decision on that one. We'll go back one more time. Yeah, Mercado just came right up and just not clear. Corner exits again with Mercado just haven't been good. Just a bummer.
Yeah, a bit of a rough night overall, it has to be said. Maybe a little bit of rust from the week off, because certainly he's proven to be a capable driver over the first 3 seasons. Just tonight, not the 41's night so far, as, yeah, Ireland just unable to avoid that little bit of
Jose says that
contact
wasn't
there.
his
I mean,
fault,
when you're
by the
coming in
way.
at speed, not really a whole lot of reaction time there, especially when you got other cars around. And, again, Wolford taking some avoiding action there. So well done to the 36. But yeah, ultimately, some stage 3 carnage again. What else is new?
All right, then I was getting just a couple of communications there, just getting that straight. If you hear no voices go on for quite some time, that's pretty much the reason why. But I was hearing there Mercado actually Mercado not taking the blame on that one. That's all that's going to be said. That's where we're going to stick.
It's kind of hard to know there. Like, I don't know if maybe just something, again, kind of got loose, like we were alluding to before. Yeah, it's one of those things you'd have to really kind of dissect a little bit further to kind of figure that one out. But, things happen on these tracks, especially, I mean, we've seen it over the last couple of weeks. Definitely, not necessarily looking to ascribe blame anywhere. I don't think that's, kind of in the nature of, what we're doing here. So it'll be interesting to see what the aftermath is and what kind of comes out of it.
Indeed. So I guess kind of have to keep ourselves a little bit civil and professional up here in the broadcast booth, of course. But coming to this restart for this third stage, you were telling me probably should try and get the what over with before anything happens. So we'll again shout out TrackCams22.com for providing the custom cameras that you see that enhance and emphasize our broadcast here for this fourth season of Canadian Motorsports NASCAR Series Racing. So as the green flag drops, it's time for the TrackCams22.com. Crank it up.
much crank yanking here.
That one was definitely heard there, but we're right back there again. Thank you, TrackCams22.com, for the insane camera angles that they give us for all of our oval races. Of course, the oval package, you can check out their website for all their packages, particularly the oval one that we use for the NASCAR Series.
Oh!
Trouble for Higginbottom, saves it. Oh, goodness. We'll get the angle here coming off the turns 1 and 2. Just lost it. And then he saves it. No harm, no foul. All good. But it's kind of a train you can see right here. Belmonte leading the way. MacAulay, Ford, no.
So that's a lead change
Bailey
now.
just wrecked on a backstretch.
Oh, Bailey. Hard in the wall. Yeah, I saw a car going around right there, and it was Scott Bailey, the 88, and the caution's out. I was trying to click on his name on the timing screen there, but it wouldn't let me as he kept just dropping down the board. And Scott Bailey goes around. The caution's out on lap 102 or 134. Looked like a loose moment. I don't think there was any contact. But we'll go back and check the replay here, of course. Hopefully I didn't go too far back there, but we'll get the blimp angle of him right here. Him going down the front straightaway, trying to maybe get an early view of what may have happened. But there's Jared Ireland back on the lead lap after some earlier stuff going on behind Dylan Baum there. He's on the inside, close to Ireland.
Seems pretty innocent.
Oh, it was
so
Ireland.
far.
Ireland was the one that got
Okay.
loose, and Bailey went down, then right into the wall. So that was not Bailey, that was Ireland. It's no wonder they got close. Pretty much no surprises there.
Can't
Again,
get much closer.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, we'll try to get another angle here, of course. Yeah, Ireland loose and then just tags right there. The left rear quarter panel tags the right front of Scott Bailey, and he goes around. We'll get another angle here from the cockpit, of course. I see a bunch of cars moving around on the timing screen there. Definitely pit stops going on, but we'll try to get back as quickly as possible. But again, from the cockpit view, just, yeah, definitely not expected for Scott Bailey there. Into the wall. Hopefully not too much damage for him. And we'll try to get an angle.
Relatively clean so far. Sorry to talk over, but yeah, let's say relatively clean for the most part here so far. I would imagine there'll be a few fast repairs potentially available to some of the drivers who've been involved. We'll see if Scott Bailey's won. I think he probably is going to make it out all right.
Yeah, I came off the pit road right there. I might try to go back and see him on the pit lane. Yeah, it looks like it wasn't too much. Again, the next gen is pretty, especially in comparison to the Gen 6, like you would see on NASCAR Heat 5. It can be a pretty durable car, especially when taking head-on hits and all that. So it looks like he still might be good. He might maybe have a little bit of lower speed, but he's still here in 12th place, so no harm, no foul. Car still remaining single file here, though. There's the black car, Jonathan Ward. There's actually one car on the timing screen there has actually disappeared. If you watch the camera here, click on Jonathan Peden. Camera doesn't move. We go into the Scenics. In fact, yeah, Jonathan Peden was out of this race a while back. He's 29 laps down now. I'm pretty sure whenever I actually earlier wanted to point that out, but there was so much already going on, so eventually now we're able to point it out, but that's very unfortunate for the 33 of Jonathan Peden, who, I'll get back to the TV angle there, but again, looking here, Jonathan Peden, so far this season, he finished 6th at Daytona, Auto Club, did a bit of a different story there in 21st, finished 8th at Las Vegas. Yeah, it's just kind of an up and down situation with him. He's going to go from 6th to 21st to 8th to 19th. So a very up and down campaign so far for the guy who has been the championship runner-up the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, not quite the consistency that we've become accustomed to out of Jonathan Peden so far. Again, still very early in the season, so there's still, lots of time to kind of grow back into it. But yeah, so far the early returns, and I think, the Pensacola native would agree with this assessment, a mixed bag to say the very least.
Indeed so, and that same guy who caused Scott Bailey to go around is actually in first place, Jared Ireland, the 13, right alongside the guy who he's tied with in the Rookie of the Year standings, and also in the real standings too, and that three-way tie along with Matthew Patak. Justin Belmonte there in second place, Corbin MacAulay, the guy who's been up front all night, third place, and another guy who's been up front too, Kyle Knowles. So it seems as though Jared Ireland might try to spoil the show for about, I would say, 3, 4, 5, like at least 5 guys who have been up front for most of this race here so far. There's Ty Higginbottom, who's been kind of back and forth there at the bottom of the top 10 and just outside as well. But the defending series champion trying to prove something, Patak making his way back up after kind of falling back towards the end of the second stage there. But we're going to go back to green here on lap 106 at a 134. Miami 200 back under green.
Yeah, another guy to watch here, I would say, off of this restart, Darcy Ford. He's already made up 2 positions here off of the restart, moved up to 4th. He hasn't won, of course, since that Season 2 title decider in Vegas. It's been a little while for the 64. He would absolutely love to get that wing snob Chevy into victory lane again.
And I think Mercado may have had again another corner exit fiasco right there. Sure, drivers are probably not happy about that one, but we'll stay away from that topic, of course, for the time being. But Ireland leading the way. MacAulay making his way up to second place. He's going to go the inside, but Ireland trying to block. He's going to stay in that middle groove. Oh, and there's trouble, maybe? I thought I saw smoke there, but no. I thought something might have happened there, but no, we seem to be all good.
No, all the smokes in Alberta these days, buddy.
That's dark humor at its finest right there. There's MacAulay. He's going to get past Jared Ireland for the lead. He's right back into it here on lap 108, a 134, just waiting for it to change right there. Justin Belmonte and Jared Ireland, the 2 rookies tied in the standings, both for the everyone and the rookies. Battling side by side there, but Ireland's going to fall back. Darcy Ford's now going to try and take advantage. I think someone may have hit the wall back there. It was Hunter Young, I believe. Oh, Butler and Mercado getting close with each other again. I'm sure they don't want to be close after what happened earlier. Oh, and Kyle Knoll back here in 10th place. He should be more up towards the front, maybe, would you think?
I wonder if that's your wall banger.
That might have been the guy who might have been creating all the smoke there. Yeah, he's in the wall again. I wonder what's going on with him. Tire wear thing, or maybe just the setup not cooperating well with him there. But we'll get right back up here to kind of a lead battle as MacAulay and Belmonte battling hard here. Belmonte about 0.2 there, 0.15 now behind. Coming off the final corner, and I am still in the green flag angle. That is not appropriate anymore. But yeah,
I'm glad it's still a green flag situation, though.
Oh, yeah, technically speaking, but we'll move on from there. There's a caution out. Around is Ireland.
I had to say it was a green flag situation.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, man. Oh.
Just keep saying those, and we're just going to keep having cautions here that are going to probably help out someone like Jason Butler, who I was communicating with there, saying, I hope there's a lot of cautions. I think he's getting to... Whoa, there's a car up in the wall back up there, too. It's Jonathan War. What is happening?
I think we just need to crank it up the rest of this race. We're going to keep screwing everything up.
Okay, okay, he just spun the tires, something. It probably was a shift. I would think it's probably a shifting situation there, but what we got to focus on here is what happened with Jared Ireland. So we'll head down the front straightaway using the blimp to catch what may have just happened. CD Magram's right behind. Did Ireland go for the block? Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, bomb in there, too. Oh, wow.
Ooh.
So 2 of the rookies right there involved in that one. Oh, Hurdle got into the back of bomb there, too. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest wreck of the evening here so far. And we'll get another look at it. Yeah, just kind of into the back there. And yeah, Ireland just kind of a passenger after that initial contact. I think that might have been Mangrum who got him loose there in the beginning. But Baum took the worst of it by far.
I do wonder a little bit right here if maybe, slower angle here. Okay, that might have been a little bit too far back, but I want to see here maybe Mangrum was the one that went up and then Ireland went down. Like, I want to see if this may have been more of a racing incident, but we'll see. Yeah, Mangrum held his line. Ireland came down. I would say that one would probably be the 13. Then Baum just nowhere to go. Yeah, literally nowhere to go.
Yeah, the 13 collecting the 1 and the 3. Go figure.
Oh, my. And
everything
then eventually
came together.
Yeah, and then Andy Hurdle's going to come up right here and just... I don't think he had anywhere to go from that cockpit view. Yeah, he just slid the tires, couldn't help himself, and then right in the back there. I don't think that shouldn't be too much damage. But I think it'll probably be no biggie. But again, another incident-related caution there because of the good old broadcaster jinx.
Oh, that might be our worst to date.
There's still a lot of racing here to go, buddy.
I know, but still, like, that was, in terms of timing,
yeah, I
don't think we've ever had a worse one.
Indeed, indeed. But yeah, here on lap 113 at a 134 in this Miami 200, Corbin MacAulay still leading the way. It's the good old McCauley and Belmonte thing here up on the top two. Darcy Ford, again, he's a guy who, if I look back at the standings, the guy is, I believe he's right there in 17th, right behind the playoff cut line.
Can you give me no screen time, please?
Yeah, he might be fit.
There. And right back to here once more. I just got word that the number 3 of Dylan Baum is out of this race. He just disconnected. And Mike Marini's actually out of this one too.
That is so unfortunate in the case of Dylan Baum. If you recall, he started right at the back of the field. I don't believe he posted a qualifying time, but he worked his way up. He was in the top 5 for the majority of the evening, especially from stage 2 on. And yeah, obviously he got collected by a couple of cars there, and yeah, hard to come back from that if you're the 3. And yeah, it's just kind of, he was a passenger and all that.
Indeed so. And again, like for a guy like Mike Marini, who's been kind of off to himself kind of a consistent start to this season, I guess you could technically say he does have a win whenever we did that GTR Clash test race or whatever, the private one, and Marini got the job done there at Daytona. Now I'll be under maybe some controversy, but anyways, but yeah, that's 3 cars out of this one. 16 cars remain in this race, 14 on the lead lap. 16 altogether. Hunter Young 2 laps down, Jared Ireland 3 laps down. He's still in this race on in his pit stall though. But yeah, again, we're going to go back to green. Hopefully no more jinxes happen. Lap 115 of 134, I believe it will be. Corbin MacAulay taking the field back to green. And I was also told as well, Jason Butler does not want any more screen time because of what we're saying.
That is, probably a very fair assessment from the 10.
Oh, wait, did I technically just give him screen time by saying that?
I mean,
If he wrecks here, I think you can give me a 1-race suspension.
we'll call it, well, maybe from talking, but I kind of need to be able to see stuff in order to fill in.
Yeah. Low moment back there. CD Mangrum saves it. Good job by the number 1 car, the sophomore in his Chevrolet right there. Very close call. But yeah, again, going back to Dylan Baum, like you were mentioning too, like the guy was running a solid race on that high line. Again, another loose moment. Can I go talking without something happening, please? I'm about to lose all my professionalism here, but again, trying to go back at this. The 3-car Dylan Baum. Really trying to take advantage of that high line. He was doing a good job of it, although he was definitely being a little aggressive during the race. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean it was anything bad. I don't recall anything bad from anything he did, but yeah, just kind of unfortunate circumstances for him to get involved in. He definitely had the pace to even contend for a good finish, top 5. I don't know about a win, but he definitely was there. Anyways, right back to...
You could argue, yeah, that he had, one of the more consistent cars out there from start to, well, not quite finish.
Indeed so, but again, though, right back to the front of the field here. Corbin MacAulay leading the way by over half a second over Justin Belmonte here on lap 118 at a 134. Darcy Fort still holding on steady there in 3rd place in his number 64 car, trying to go for what would be his... Let me go to the results here very quickly. He's finished 18th, 20th, and 15th. This right here would be his first top 10, his first top 5, and his first podium. So again, the guy's trying to get back into the playoff hunt there. He's 1 position below, I believe, if I recall correctly. I'm trying to read the standings there, but a little too... a little too small for wording.
17 coming into tonight, yes.
Yes. So this will definitely be good for him if nothing else happens. If that's a jinx, I swear. Anyways, but yeah, he had a bit of a slide there in behind Justin Belmonte there on the inside. I can see you smiling right there.
Because we were thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I remember earlier in this race, I felt like I had no energy, but now everything's just happening, and it's just revitalizing me here. But anyways, again, MacAulay, half a second there. I believe Belmonte gained a little bit of ground there. Went from 0.7 to 0.5 now. And there's a car back there that went very low. It looked to be Hunter Young right there. I don't know if something was going on there, but here's CD Magram here trying to get into the top 10 over Ryan Gibson. He's going to get the job done on the inside. So he'll get into the top 10 right there. And there's, wow, Jose Mercado, the guy who was involved in some stuff, obviously, earlier. The guy who's been kind of the corner exit fiasco man here tonight. Again, the Florida guy at Florida track. Go figure that stuff's happening to him. All the irony going his way. But right here, he may be in line for a top 10.
Sometimes you just got to be there until the end, It's, not how you get there. They don't draw pictures. It's just what shows up at the end of the night, honestly. And,
Gibson.
It could work out quite well here for Mercado. Decent haul of points, potentially in the offering, which, will be a nice little bounce back after missing out last week at Vegas. As someone goes low, is that Mercado?
That's Mercado.
He held on to it, though. Credit where it's due.
I mean, again, too, he is still behind that one guy in particular who, again, we're doing a broadcast here. You can see him right there. He's in front of Matthew Patek. He doesn't want any more screen time. I don't think we're going to pay him any favors right there. But the guy who was involved with Mercado and stuff earlier, though, the number 10, again, he's in front of him, so I guess that's definitely what he would be wanting and Mercado would not be wanting. But, again... Going back right here, Ryan Gibson and Andy Hurl, I think we're battling a little bit there. There's Wolford and Hunter Young going at it towards the back. MacAulay's still keeping the advantage, but half a second-ish or so in front of Belmonte. The top 6 just kind of staying a little close together there in that bit of a pack. Ty Higginbom actually getting in there as well. And there's the battle right here. Do I really need to say his name and Matthew Patek?
Are we living in the Potterverse? These must not be named?
Oh, again! No, that's someone else.
Off there in the back.
Hunter Young this time. Seems to be all the dark colored cars that are going through all those shenanigans, huh?
Not touching that. But I mean, there are a lot of, equally as many Miami Vice themed cars, which makes sense given the locale, as well as looks like Paytack was able to pull off the move there for 7th. Same thing happens to me. I'm making the second. I hope that wasn't live.
Nine laps to go here in this Miami 200 here. MacAulay leading the way by 0.3, so it looks like Belmonte's actually gaining a bit of an advantage here, so we might get another MacAulay-Belmonte finish here for the 3rd time in 4 races. Oof.
Yeah, Belmonte subsequently putting a bit of a gap between himself and Darcy Ford there as well, although the 64 would love to dig in and make one last push here as we're coming up to 8 laps remaining. Or 7.
Oh, would you look at that? Those two cars are side by side once again. Cricket.
Just let it happen.
Yeah, just let them do their about that.
Yeah.
I'm technically giving screen time, but I haven't said the name, so I think we'll count that as okay. We'll go right back up here now. We're getting the battle here for 4th place. It's Kyle Knoll and Scott Bailey. Ty Higginbottom following from behind. He might try to take advantage of this if they continue to be side by side. Bailey using the middle to hide groove. Higginbottom trying to actually take advantage there on the very high line. Kyle Knoll trying to use the low to middle groove. Knoll, successful block there somehow on Scott Bailey. It's able to work. Bailey's still trying to use that outside line while Kyle Knoll will use the inside here with 6 laps to go in this Miami 200. CD Magra and Matthew Paytek now going at it. Mercado successfully got by the 10. It looks like he's actually fallen back there too, as a matter of fact, behind Ryan Gibson as well. Down the front straightaway, Paytek and Magram still battling side by side there. It looks like Magram might get a bit of an advantage here, but Paytek might have the run off the corner. Andy Hurdle now getting past Butler. Again, Butler mentioned earlier his car is very loose and just going through damage stuff, and I just gave him scream time. But anyways, yeah, his car just hasn't been handling well ever since that incident earlier.
Speaking of incidents, though, Riggs, obviously a few more cautions in this 3rd stage. Not as many as the last 2 weeks, but I have to wonder if there's, I think there's probably enough to have our leaders kind of going to the end without really too much issue. Although you see, Darcy Ford's fallen to, I believe that's 2.3 seconds back of the lead. You see that chase pack of 3 through 6 there. It's effectively a 2-horse race between MacAulay and Belmonte again. But yeah, ultimately, I don't think there'd be a worry of, maybe tires going in the last lap or 2 or anyone getting low on fuel here at the end. I'd be curious to see those metrics, but I think there's probably enough management in play there that our top 2 especially will be all right.
Indeed. I mean, Belmonte now starting to slowly fall back a little bit here. He was originally around the 0.3, 0.4 range, but now he's starting to fall back about almost over half a second here behind MacAulay, as there's a kind of a side-by-side pack going at it here with Kyle Knoll trying to take 3rd over Darcy Ford. Ford trying to get his first podium of the season. And there's Ty Higginbottom there getting past Scott Bailey for 5th place. Jason Butler just not having a good time at all here. He's still falling back. If that's the jinx happening, that's unfortunate, but he already told me his car is going through some stuff. But anyways, 2 laps to go in this one. Mercado there on the middle groove there. He gets a loose moment right there. Paytek, if he was looking in his mirror at that, he may have had a little bit of a heart attack. And there was another moment there with another car. I can't tell who that was. It was Wolford again getting loose off the corner. But coming off the final corner here, white flag. This might be it right here to races in a row, Corbin MacAulay in first place at the white flag.
And you see that gap has opened up over a second now over Justin Belmonte. I think it would be kind of borderline act of God material here for the 17 to not find himself in victory lane one more time here, but you still have to drive through the final couple corners, which he's doing capably.
Coming off of turn 4, it'll be 2 weeks in a row for the 17 Holland College Chevrolet car. Corbin MacAulay, the fourth-year driver, taking the checkered flag. He wins the Miami 200 at Homestead-Miami Speedway.
And really just, he was a guy who was there from start to finish, started on pole, picks up the second straight win, as you mentioned. I mean, he was obviously not in the lead the entire time, but obviously competitive the entire way. Hard to really argue with another W for the 17.
Indeed so, and I'm trying to look back here to see if anything may have happened back here, but it looks like Kyle Noel will finish third there, and Higginbottom actually making his way up from 6th to 4th, so very solid for him to get a top 5 in this one. Then Scott Bailey will drop back to 6th place. And we'll just get back to the unofficial results eventually here as we go. Darcy Ford getting passed right there. Takers off. MacAulay's going to go for a burnout once again for the second week in a row. And again, through 4 races, again, the guy who's been on iRacing for over a decade now, or I think it is exactly a decade, I believe. Trying to figure that out. Trying to recall that perfectly. But yeah, again, MacAulay, second place, first place. Just continues to remain in the top 2 there, and he's going to... Yeah, he's going to go up against the wall there, and he's going to burn those rear tires. Tire wear doesn't matter anymore with him at this point, or anyone for that matter.
No, it's all done
Can you get
now.
Kyle to go get a picture at start-finish line, please?
Sorry about the little mute right there. I was getting a little bit of communication, but yeah, MacAulay right there along the start-finish line. But again, that is going to do it here for tonight's race, round 420 at Homestead-Miami Speedway, the Miami 200. We'll take a look at the unofficial results where you are. There they are. Here are your unofficial results for the Miami 200 here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Corbin MacAulay taking the win here for a second week in a row, continuing those top 2 finishes as per usual. Second, first, third and fourth times the charm for him. Justin Belmonte will come home with a solid second place finish. Again, the MacAulay-Belmonte thing happened there, except it's now the complete reverse at Daytona and Auto Club. Kyle Noel with a solid third place finish after qualifying 10th. He ran pretty consistently ever since he was able to make his way up into the top 5 right there. And then there's Ty Higginbottom in 4th place. The defending series champion went from 6th to 4th within those final couple laps, and rounding out the top 5 with his first top 5 and top 10 of the season here. 4 races in, it looked like he almost had a podium in hand there, but unfortunately just not enough there. It'll be a top 5 for Darcy Ford.
And it has to be said, without getting into too much detail, that is a fantastic performance for Darcy Ford as well to pick up a top 5. Given the circumstances, a lot of fortitude going into that particular result for the 64. As we look at the rest of our top 10 here, Scott Bailey coming home in 6th place, kind of getting himself back into the competitive swing of things. CV Mangrum is 7th. Matthew Paytak comes home 8th. Jose Mercado is able to scrape together a 9th place finish, and Ryan Gibson will round out the top 10.
There you have it for the top 10 there, of course. And now we got Andy Hurdle here in 11th place, 1 position short of a top 10. He did unfortunately get accidentally caught up in that incident there between Jared Ireland and Dylan Baum. Had nowhere to go, lost control of the tires there just a little bit, but he's able to come home with a decent finish right there and still remain okay in points, I would think. Jonathan Moore, 12th place in his number 29 car. You got Jason Butler there in 13th, who did have the potential running for a top 10, maybe even close to a top 5 towards the end. But again, that incident with Jose Mercado gave his car damage, and he was just loose from there on out. Michael Wolfer coming home in 14th. He had a lot of loose moments off of corner exits as well, especially off of turn 2. And that does it for the lead lap cars, with Hunter Young there in 15th place, Jared Ireland 16th, Dylan Baum in 17th. Ireland and Baum, both guys that definitely could have had better finishes here tonight, but unfortunately had that incident there in turns 1 and 2. Mike Marini will get 18th, and rounding out the field in 19th place, 60 laps down, unfortunately, the 33 of 2 straight years a championship runner-up finishes Jonathan Peden there, so that officially does it there for the unofficial results, and you can see MacAulay there once again. But we'll now go to our faces here, of course. Jordy, give me your overall thoughts on how tonight's race, the Miami 200 Round 420, went at Homestead-Miami Speedway. It definitely was, it did have its moments, but it did have some pretty solid racing strategies and tire wear coming into play. And again, 2 weeks in a row, I guess it's 3 and 4 times the charm, for Corbin MacAulay.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be said, throughout the field, it felt competitive all the way through. Like, yeah, there were some things that happened, but all in all, for the most part, it was kind of good, hard racing. And ultimately, like, there wasn't maybe quite as many highlight reel moves as maybe the last couple of weeks. But, in the end, it was kind of consistency that was able to rule the day, so to speak. And again, that's why you're going to find yourself chatting to the driver of the number 17 Holland Hurricanes Chevy here in a moment or so. And just building up a little bit more of a gap atop the point standings. I believe he picked up the stage 2 victory as well. So
yes,
just kind of compounding on that momentum. And yeah, it looks like, he's, for lack of a better term, ready to find another gear here.
Indeed so. He'll definitely be making his way up the points even more, especially with those 3 drivers that are tied right behind him for 2nd through 4th right there. So obviously that will do it for the Miami 200 broadcast for Jordy's end, of course. After this, I'm going to come back on and hopefully be able to interview our race winner tonight, Corbin MacAulay. So once again, Jordy, thank you very much for coming on as per usual, and we'll see you next week at Chicagoland.
Thank you for saying the track. I was trying to find it. We will see you there.
Indeed so. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back for the post-race interview with Corbin MacAulay in a little bit. Alrighty then, folks. We are back here now for the post-race interview with the man who has now won back-to-back races here, won at Las Vegas last weekend. Number 17, Corbin MacAulay, getting the job done once again here at Homestead-Miami Speedway in the Miami 200. MacAulay, how does it feel to get 2 wins in a row here at a track, especially with such a treacherous surface, especially on the tires?
Oh, it feels good to get a win at a place like this. Homestead-Miami is one of my favorite tracks on iRacing. You gotta baby the car. Like there's you cannot manhandle the car unless it's like a 5 lap to go restart or something. But like if you're putting in qualifying laps at this track, you are going to destroy your tires and you'll be loose out of the corner. You'll be tight on entry. But that's what I love about this racetrack, and to pull off the win was pretty cool. Oh yeah, exactly. It's always good to have a result like this, especially with that stage win too. That's an extra playoff point, which will be really helpful come the playoffs. But I came out with a lot of points today. Race win, stage 2 win, stage 1 second. So I mean, there was only one more point I could have grabbed for tonight. But I just want to mention too, like this race in the second stage. I'm not sure if you guys on the broadcast noticed, but I didn't make a pit stop in the second stage. I actually stretched the fuel enough that I had enough left at the end. And how I was doing that is I was clutching and coasting going into the corner. So as I would come down the straightaway, I would go into corner entry, and then I put the clutch to the floor. And what that would do is that would drop the engine RPMs really low and not burn as much gas. And funny enough, I actually passed Justin Belmonte whenever I was clutching. So I had 0 engine power. The car was just coasting, and I managed to get by him. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that definitely proves your talent and your experience over this past decade, of course, being on iRacing. I was actually muted there for that last question I asked for you, but again, fans, it was just all about, drivers going through loose corner exits, the loose tracking strategies and all that. And actually, yeah, Jordy and I did kind of catch on that drivers were going through, certain strategies that second stage, especially with that incident that happened before with drivers kind of getting fuel and tires there beforehand, so that definitely played a role in there. But again, too, like 2 weeks in a row now, you got the victory. You gonna try and go for 3 in a row there at Chicagoland next week?
You damn right. What else would I do, man? I'm going for that win at Chicagoland. Chicagoland is another one of my favorite tracks on iRacing. It is a hidden gem. It's bumpy, it's loose, multiple grooves. Basically the same trend we've been seeing the last couple of weeks. But Chicagoland is definitely one of those tracks that is different. And I wish they never took it off the real life schedule, honestly.
Yeah, same opinion here. I mean, a lot especially with other fans too and stuff. Again, a track that will be a lot tighter in the corners in comparison to a track like Homestead-Miami. But again, that does it for this post-race interview, Corbin MacAulay. Congratulations on winning 2 weeks in a row. Go and celebrate nice and also safely as well too. And we'll be seeing you next week at Chicagoland. I'm sure you'll definitely be a contender for 3 wins in a row.
I appreciate it, Regan. It means a lot. Love racing with these group of guys, and I also have a little surprise for next week as well. It's our first night race of the season, and I may or may not have a different paint scheme for night races this year. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. Also, my celebration tonight: sleeping. That's about it.
Yeah, especially getting the win under the weather, like some other drivers have been going through some stuff too, and a driver that ended up missing out tonight, of course, with Daniel Cudmore. So. But yeah, again, congratulations for the win. And yes, obviously, fans, stay tuned for that sneak peek that we'll be getting eventually whenever we do get around to Chicagoland next week. But yeah, that'll do it for this post-race interview and also the broadcast of the Canadian eMotorsports Network. Thank you for watching and listening to this production here on this Tuesday night. We will see you next week for Chicagoland Speedway. So take care, have a good night, and that does it. Cheers.